Don't bother, I'm not singing. I'm talking. Well, I went on with my struggle in the opera, but always with such a sad, anxious face that one of my colleagues, Botel, the tenor, noticed it and said, "Now, Hank, why have you such a sad face all the time?" "Oh, what is the use?" I replied. "What is the use to live?" "Well," he said after a moment, "I will tell you something. I have an idea. I'll see what I can do. I will arrange that you come and sing at the Kroll Theater. That will help you." Now, the Kroll Theater was in Berlin. It is in the park, a beautiful summer theater where opera is given and famous throughout all Europe. All the great singers have sung there in their day. Nordica, Lehmann, and many other noted artists. So Botel said, "Yes, I will have you come and sing there. But of course you must come the first time without being paid." "Oh," I cried, "is there really an opportunity for me at Kroll?" "Why, yes," said Botel. "Yes, if you have a success there. It will be a great advertisement for you. A big step forward." "All right," I said. "I will go." The vacation was coming at the opera. There was always 3 months vacation in summer without pay. So this was a great chance for me. Well, one day, in August, the telegram came. I still have that telegram. It said to come that Botel was to have his benefit performance and would pay traveling expenses back and maybe something more. Of course, I didn't have any money to go with, but my good neighbor, Frau Merton, came to the rescue. I said to her, "I have this telegram to sing at the Kroll Theater, but how can I go? There is no money for the trip, not even second class." "Never mind," she said. "You must go. Go third class, and I will take care of the children. Go and sing, and I'll give you money for the trip. It is your good luck that is now coming." So she gave me the money she had put aside for the rent and said, "I give this because I believe in you. Take it, and God be with you. It's your chance." She gave me all she had, and even sandwiches for the journey. I went at night and arrived in Berlin at 5 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't go to a hotel, of course. There was no money after the fare was paid, not even for a cup of coffee. I had only a bundle with my things, costumes in it. So I went and sat in the park right in front of the theater. I sat down on a bench and waited until the theater would open. There I sat waiting, with my little hands under my heart, because all this happened just a few months before he was born. Well, at 10 o'clock comes Botel, rushing madly to the theater. When he saw me on the bench, he stopped short and cried, "Oh, here you are, Hank, you goose. Why, we have looked everywhere for you, all over the city, in all the hotels. We thought you didn't come. We didn't know what to do. And now, here you are, on a bench, in the park. Why didn't you go to the hotel where we had a room and meals waiting for you? Why, we have looked everywhere for you, all over the city, in all the hotels. We thought you didn't come." But, I said, I couldn't go to a hotel. I had no money. "Bah, I had a room and breakfast waiting for you there. But I didn't know that, I told him. So please don't be cross. I am so happy, so happy. Please don't scold me now. I can't bear it. Well, he stormed around a few minutes more, and then we went into the rehearsal. So I got my chance and had a great success. Everyone was talking, the people and critics. They told how I'd come there alone with no notices, no one to do anything, and it was my voice and art alone that had brought me this good fortune. Then the manager said, "Now, here are 30 marks for your fare back. Go home to your children, but in 3 days you must return to sing again, and then you will get 60 marks for each performance." So I returned to Hamburg and Frau Merton with the good news: work for a few weeks at least. The money was not much, with all those debts, and my little Hans soon to come. But I had made a success at Crawl. The rest would come, perhaps not at once, but it would come. After that summer season, I went back to the opera at Hamburg. But at first, things were no better there for me. Then my Hans was born, and the little money I had made during the summer was gone. It was the same misery over again. I sent 2 of my children, August and Henry, to my parents. I had to send them home because I had no way to care for them. And then, well, one day I broke down and fainted. They brought me home to that empty house, which had nothing left now but a little bed for Hans and Lotta, which the sheriff couldn't take, 3 hard chairs and the stove. I couldn't afford coals, so I had to burn torf, made into a kind of brick. It stays in the oven for hours and becomes very hot. 1,000 pieces of torf cost only 2 marks. It burned day and night. This day, they brought me home and put me to bed. And again, my good neighbor, Frau Merton, came. I was unconscious for 2 or 3 days and knew nothing until I woke up one morning. And there by the bed sat my little Lotta, but no Hans in the room. Yes, there was Lotta alone, in her poor dress, shivering, all huddled up like a little bundle, with an apron wrapped around her shoulders. She sat staring at me, eyes big as saucers. And I said, "Why, Lotta, what happened? Why do you shiver like this?" And she said in a whisper, Don't talk, Mother." And she started to cry, "Because if you talk, you will die." "But what is the matter?" I asked. "You see, I couldn't remember anything." "You are so sick, Mother," she said. "The doctor was here and said if you wake up and talk, you will die." "Nonsense," I said. "But where is Hans? Where is my baby?" And then this poor child tells me that Frau Merton had Hans with her, that I must be quiet, and she must sit there and put into my mouth little pieces of ice all day long. My poor little Lotta. "Well," I said, "I'm better now. I know it and must see my baby." So Frau Merton came, and I said to her, "Oh, why did you leave Lotta alone here? And where is my baby?" Poor woman. She said, "Ach Gott, Frau Heink, what else could I do with all my 9 children? There was no one to help you. So I took your little Hans because he was crying for food, and I bought milk for him. Someone must care for him, and Lotta must stay with you. I have done the best I could." Then I began to understand what had happened and what that blessed Frau Merton had done for me. The picture stays always with me of my shivering little Lotta and that cold, empty room. I realized then that it was all beyond me, everything. I did not care for the whole world. At that time, I didn't even care about my voice. I suffered so for those children. I saw the misery of it all. So I had to send again to my mother and say, have mercy on my two little ones. Come for God's sake, and get now my Lotta and my Han. My heart felt dead, like stone, that I must now part with them all. But there was no other way. Besides, I realized too that if I didn't have the worry of caring for them, especially after having made that success the previous summer at Kroll, I would be able to do more in my career and go ahead faster. I must send my children to my parents for safekeeping. I must get ahead in my career. That must come first now. I must fight and push forward. But, oh, it was sad. After they had all gone, when I got home at night, there was no greeting. Nothing. No one to speak to. Not a sound or sign of life. I was alone in that bare, desolate room. But never mind. It was all right. And so, I finished the season. Well, anyway, after this period, things began to be easier. And I must tell you how I first began to get better parts in Hamburg. It was when one of my colleagues, the prima donna contralto, Goethe was her name, started to make trouble. She was always my worst enemy and kept me down. Now, Paulini was much interested in Goethe, and so too was von Bülow. She had studied Carmen with him. So in a way, she was a kind of protégé of von Bülow, always getting the preference, the big part. She always sang Carmen. And I had to be content with Mercedes, a small bit, until this time, although I wanted to sing Carmen myself, like every other singer on the face of the earth. Well, Goethe had some kind of quarrel with Paulini, which often happens with prima donnas. And Paulini flew into a terrible rage. He got furious with her and told her, "You are not the only one who can sing Carmen. There is someone else right here in the opera who can do it. I will now give the Heink the opportunity she wants. That's what I'll do." You see, Paulini had changed his tune about me. So it was that Paulini sent for me in great excitement and asked if I could sing Carmen that same night without a rehearsal. Of course, I said, "You bet," or something equally strong in my best German. I sang it. I'd have sung it if I had died on the stage, for I knew now was my chance at last. But now comes a funny thing. You see, I had studied Carmen by ear with my teacher when I was very young. And from that time on, I had always watched each of the different Carmens, always hoping I could get a chance to sing it, and had learned it in that way. I learned a little from them all, mostly their faults though, by just watching. And Mahler, the conductor, said afterwards, oh, how he laughed, that I had all the mistakes of all the Carmens combined. Yes, Mahler said, the Heink, she has all the peculiarities of all the Carmen. She makes the same stupid old mistakes that they all make, but she sings it just the same. And thank God, I sang it that time and saved the performance. Of course, I had no costumes at this time and nothing ready for Carmen, but my colleagues were very good. They all helped out. One gave a veil, another a skirt, another beads, someone else a comb. Everything I could lay hands on, I borrowed for that great occasion. And Marikawa, I'll tell you about her later, gave me her beautiful shawl. It was funny when you come to think of it, for all those things from the different singers were of all sizes and lengths. One was too short, another too long, one too big, and one too small. But I managed somehow. everything except the shoes, and they were too short. Ah! I could hardly walk. They hurt me so. But I did walk somehow. I suppose excitement made me forget the pain. At any rate, my Carmen was a great success. Today I would not dare to do such a thing, but then, well, that is youth plus ambition. The next opera was to be Le Prophète. Goethe, who was furious, of course, at my success in Carmen, cancelled again. She thought this time I was not prepared and couldn't jump in as I did with Carmen and would make a terrible fiasco. But Paulini, still angry, comes again and asked if I could sing Fides too. Again I said, yes, you bet, in my strongest German. Now, you must understand that Fides in Le Prophète is one of the biggest contralto parts ever written. It goes up and down with coloratura. Oh, what a part. Even Paulini doubted me. In fact, they all thought I couldn't possibly do it, that I wouldn't dare to attempt this difficult role without even a rehearsal. But he was in such a hole, he had to risk it. I went home and studied like the devil was after me. And I did manage it somehow. And I sang Fides in Le Prophète. It was a tremendous success, I may say. And then for the third time, Goethe, who was now raging, cancelled for Ortrid in Lohengrin. And that too, I sang without a rehearsal. Then I was made at last. Then it was that Paulini, all smiles, this time came and gave me a new contract. Well, I was ready for him, ready to sing Carmen, Fides, Ortrid, all the big roles, everything. I took my opportunity with both hands. I tried to learn from everyone. I never was so swell-headed that I didn't know I could learn from others. And poverty had made me very humble. Ah, what I went through. All the years I slaved for my profession until I came to the United States. It took me 20 years to make my career. That is why I respect to this day the highest and the lowest. Be it a boy in the theater, a working man, everyone can teach me a little bit of life, and all that helped to a career and success.